It's time to go to heaven, my child.
Stop it, what are you doing?
Stop,
it,
don't
stop it,
fight.
cut it out,
Don't
help.
stop.
What can I say about Megami Tensei that hasn't already been said? The long-running JRPG series turns 35 this upcoming September, and Atlus has paved the road to 35 with an all-new numbered entry, simply titled Shin Megami Tensei V. It's been 18 years and 7 game releases since the last fully original console SMT game. After the mixed bag that was Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster, does Atlus redeem and deliver with 5? Let's find out. But first, please subscribe and click the bell to get updates whenever I publish new content. I also have other reviews already locked and loaded, including other Atlus videos, so check those out in this video's end card. Now let's get started. This review is based on a physical retail release for the Nintendo Switch.
Young man, if you wish to live, take my hand.
For longtime fans, the premise of Shin Megami Tensei V is a lot like past SMT games. For newcomers, I'll try to streamline the synopsis as much as possible. You play as the silent protagonist, living out their normal life. Without warning, an apocalyptic event occurs, dragging our hero into a derelict world populated by demons. Soon after, the player fuses with an enigmatic being known as the Proto-Fiend Aogami, and together, the two become an ascendant life form known as a Nahobino. With this burgeoning power, the player sets out to face the ruination. SMT V's story and structure play a beautiful balancing act, observable by both new and returning fans. The dual-world setup of Shin Megami Tensei 4, combined with a dilapidated post-apocalypse of Nocturne, reflect in 5's dichotomy of Da'at and Tokyo. It's also visible in the characters. The protagonist is actually two beings, each representative of a different world, a different mindset, and potentially a differing end goal. This thematic divide is deliberate and outstandingly emphasizes the central keynote of both SMT V and the series at large. That being said, as a longtime player of all things MegaTen, I'll be the first to admit that Shin Megami Tensei in general can be pretty intimidating to get into for new players because it's so deliberately domineering. Compared to other JRPGs like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, SMT is much more hands-off. These games can have long swaths of playtime between story points, and 5 is much the same. This can make Shin Megami Tensei games, including 5, feel less approachable for anyone coming from outside, or even for players with only a Persona background. My advice if you're interested in 5 or any other SMT game is be patient and stick with it through the early goings. And of course, if you've played SMT games before, the story of Shin Megami Tensei V is a brilliant new chapter that stands shoulder to shoulder with any game in the series. Through the use of Unreal Engine 4, Atlus has brought the worlds of SMT V to life. Compared to Shin Megami Tensei 3 and 4, 5 looks gorgeous. It's much richer and more detailed with better in-game effects and animations. Perhaps it's not a fair comparison since 3 and 4 were on PlayStation 2 and Nintendo 3DS respectively, but even so, 5 brings the series into the modern age. In-game models like the main character and all the demons look fantastic. The shadows and lighting are pretty good, and the pre-renders in particular look great. As a Nintendo Switch game, the graphics look good, though it's definitely not the best looking RPG on the platform. Compare that to Dragon Quest XI-S or Neo: The World Ends With You. They all look pretty good, but SMT V doesn't outshine any of its contemporaries. I don't think it looks better than Persona 5 Strikers, but I'd argue it's above Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore in a number of technical fields, though Encore is definitely bolstered by its more vibrant color palette. But Shin Megami Tensei V has a few issues, including some seen in Tokyo Mirage Sessions. There's a fair amount of aliasing and graphical pop-in. Low-resolution textures are seen in various places. Faraway objects have reduced frame rates much like other Unreal Engine games. And speaking of frame rate, 5 targets 30 FPS, but it has some struggles. Exploration sees the game regularly dip to 25, maybe even 20 frames per second, and some cutscenes have frame rate issues too, though of course the latter doesn't affect gameplay. These issues don't really affect combat either because battles are turn-based, but the choppiness is still bothersome. It didn't ruin the game for me, and there are plenty of worse performing games on Switch, but it's worth keeping in mind if and or when you decide to play. Not that it excuses the performance issues, but I suppose frame rate stutters come with the territory of the game's design coupled with its platform of choice. The world of Da'at is broken up into several distinct prefectures, but each prefecture is essentially a large, seamless map. Tokyo, on the other hand, is more like Shin Megami Tensei 3, a top-down map using character tokens to represent individuals, with linear areas scattered about the world. Again, this division plays a role in establishing the thematic duality of the game's story, but the visually striking Da'at ends up running poorly in contrast to the simplified presentation of Tokyo. As an aside, unfortunately Shin Megami Tensei 5 features built-in screen recording prevention, so I won't be able to show you handheld play in an intuitive manner. In lieu of that, here's how the game looks on the actual tablet screen recorded off of my camera. I think 5 looks really good, although the aliasing issues feel more noticeable on the smaller screen. The frame rate problems are present as well, but they're mostly mitigated by the smaller viewing window. Otherwise, I think SMT 5 runs and plays just as well in portable format as it does while docked. Audio is likely a concern for series fans, including myself, considering the subpar sound quality of Nocturne HD. But I'm happy to say that 5 is very good on that front. The music is great, evoking the same foreboding atmosphere of past titles. And the voice acting is great as well. Like the Nocturne remaster, Shin Megami Tensei 5 features both English and Japanese voice acting, though the Japanese VO is a separate but free DLC download.
And I keep having that dream every night. Kinda getting to me. I wish someone could tell me what it all means.
Probably a reflection of something subconscious. Maybe you're just stressed over the future.
そんな夢が毎日続いていて、相談というか誰かに聞いてほしくなって。
夢は不安などの心理状態が影響する。進路のことで不安でもあるんじゃないか？なんと言っても君は。
Both language performances are great, but as is my standard for the series, I opted to play through the game in English. Finally, there's the gameplay, and if I can just loosen up a bit, god damn, SMT 5's battle system is timeless. If you've ever played Shin Megami Tensei or Persona, then you'll be right at home in 5. Nocturne's turn press system is back with largely the same implementation. Battles are turn-based with enemies and allies each boasting a number of elemental weaknesses and affinities. By exploiting these weaknesses or landing critical hits, the attacking team will be awarded an extra action. However, a blocked or absorbed attack will result in the loss of an action, and enemies can, in turn, exploit the player party's weaknesses to the same effect. Maximizing your own offensive turns and minimizing the enemy's attacking opportunities is paramount to victory. As you fight, the Magatsuhi meter in the top right corner will begin to fill, and once maxed out, you can use special Magatsuhi skills that have a range of powerful, potentially tide-turning effects. The entire system is really quite simple, but it's just as effective as ever. But it's not like the entire system has just been cut and pasted from past games as is. For 5, Atlus added, changed, and brought back a few key functionalities to make the game more modern. Some previously issued rebalances are here, such as the Hama and Mudo spells dealing damage with a chance to insta-kill a la SMT 4, versus either insta-killing or doing nothing a la SMT 3. You're also able to see how much of an item you're holding when negotiating with demons, and there are demon essences that can be infused into a party member to imbue them with new skills, and or, for the Nahobino, new affinities. In combat, swapping party members or using Magatsuhi skills does not consume a turn. While you could argue this removes a layer of strategy, I'd say this makes battles flow more smoothly. And outside of combat, 5's leyline system works overtime, serving as all-in-one save points, shopping portals, demon fusion gateways, recovery areas, and fast travel markers. A little ways into the game, you'll also acquire a return pillar key item, which allows you to push L to immediately teleport back to the last leyline that you used. Within the Da'at overworld, there are demon layers known as abscesses, and once an abscess has been demolished, you'll reveal more of the world map and unlock miracle abilities. Miracles are secondary perks that include, but are not limited to, increasing the number of retainable demons, adding new methods of building the Magatsuhi meter, and improving the Nahobino's latent abilities. However, you'll still need to acquire miracles once unlocked, which require special points called Glory. You'll primarily get glory by finding Gustav the Shopkeeper's lost Miman assistants, as well as by opening special chests scattered around the world. Gustav will additionally give you some bonus items for reaching specific quantities of found Mimans, so you're incentivized to explore thoroughly. Speaking of the Shopkeeper, much like past SMT games, money is one of the more limiting systems, especially early on. On top of being used to buy items, you need Maka to summon demons from the compendium to give to enemies during recruitment attempts if they ask, and they will ask, and to heal party members at ley lines. Maka is gathered through combat as well as by selling relics, another returning feature from Shin Megami Tensei 4. Essentially, Shin Megami Tensei 5 improves each separate function of gameplay to make it more accessible than its predecessors, and the various mechanics feed into one another in a natural and intuitive manner. And yet, it doesn't skimp on the challenge that hardcore SMT fans may be expecting, which makes 5 both a strong continuation of the series and a great launchpad for anyone looking to get into MegaTen. So with all that being said, I think it's pretty obvious that I love this game. I enjoyed every second I spent with it, and I think it's the sleekest SMT game yet. It has its technical shortcomings, and nostalgia will inevitably play a role in each individual's perception, but I believe series veterans will love 5 thanks to its consistent narrative theming and smarter game design, and Greenhorn players will find an efficient, compelling, and inviting apocalypse with a lot of depth and a premise unlike any of its peers. And if I may once again offer up some advice to anyone diving in with only Persona on their MegaTen resume, I'll just reiterate that the core series is renowned for its darker, harsher tonality. To me, that's exactly what makes SMT 5 so fucking great. Shin Megami Tensei 5 on Nintendo Switch earns a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the videos on screen, including my Atlas Videos playlist. Thanks!